The Ways and Means Committee meeting is now called to order. Mr. Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Alderwoman Krewson. Alderwoman Behringer. Vice Chairman Williamson.
Here.
Alderman Moore. Alderman French. Alderman Vaccaro.
Present.
Alderman Carter.
Present.
Alderwoman Green.
Here.
Chairman Kennedy.
Here.
6 present. We have a quorum.
Okay, with that, we have several bills before us. We will first take up Board Bill 201. Alderwoman Krewson.
Somebody out there, I don't know why they don't say that.
Someone's cell phone is going off. We ask that you please put it on vibrate. Okay. Alderwoman, good morning.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, and co-sponsor Alderman Williamson. Board Bill 201 is a bill to consider establishing the Debaliviere Place Special Business District. This, and Board Bill 202, if I can just mention, is the companion bill to 201 that actually puts the issue on the ballot, so everything I'm about to say applies to both. Debaliviere Place is, and I have a couple of maps here if anybody's interested. You can pass those around.
If we could, I know there is a Transportation Committee meeting at 9:30.
9:30, yeah.
If we could just take a vote to put this before us, so we have a vote, because some of them may have to leave to go to the other meeting. Okay. Sure. Alderman Carr, would you make the motion?
Yeah, I'd like to make that motion that we put this
Place
before.
Board Bill 201 before us.
It's been moved and seconded that we place Board Bill 201 before us for discussion purposes. Any discussions, question on the motion? If not, Mr. Clerk, would you call the roll?
Alderwoman Krewson.
Aye.
Alderwoman Behringer. Vice Chairman Williamson. Alderman Moore. Alderman French. Alderman Vaccaro.
Aye.
Alderman Carter. Alderwoman Green.
Aye.
Chairman Kennedy.
Aye.
6 aye votes, 0 no votes. Board Bill 201 stands before you.
Oh, thank you. You can continue, Alderwoman.
Thank you. Debaliviere Place is a neighborhood as designated by the City of St. Louis, which is bounded by Del Mar on the north, Union on the east, Forest Park Parkway on the south, and Debaliviere on the west. In 2010, Debaliviere Place had a census of 3,466 people. Of them, 2,000 were white, 1,420 were non-white. It has 2,608 housing units, of which in the 2010 census, 411 were vacant. So it has had, at least a couple years ago, a vacancy rate of about 16%. What is before you today, and if you have the map there, the area that's being considered to be included in this special business district is the part in blue. It's not the entire Debaliviere Place neighborhood, but that is where there are approximately 1,500 housing units in the area that's in blue. Debaliviere Place has experienced some increase in crime in the last few years, but as we all know, crime is cyclical and it is, somewhat variable from year to year. This tax, if it were to be passed, it would be on the April 7th ballot, and it would be 85 cents per $100 of assessed valuation. That's essentially 11% more than your normal property tax bill, because the regular property tax rate's about $7.52, so 85 cents, about 11% more. There are many, many of these special business districts in the city of St. Louis. You all probably know. Southwest Gardens has one. The Central West End has about a half a dozen, different areas. The Loop has one. South Grand, I think they may have replaced theirs with a SID, but this is a mechanism to raise funds in order to provide a higher level of service within the area. By state law, a special business district is administered by a board of 7 people appointed by the mayor, confirmed by the Board of Aldermen. They are a separate political subdivision under the laws of the state of Missouri, so all of their meetings are subject to the Sunshine Law and all of the same things that we are subject to here. So they operate in the light of day, if you will. It's expected that if this SBD passes, it will spend about 70 to 80% of its funds on security, and that could mean, it could mean additional patrols, it could mean cameras, it could mean lighting in some places. I mean, there are a lot of things that fall under security, but the goal of this is to provide some additional security. Debaliviere Place has very high density, at least this blue area. There's one single family house in this blue area, and the rest of it is apartments and condos. So it's all a multifamily area. It currently has, it was, some of you will remember that in the 70s, Debaliviere Place was redeveloped under an agreement. Pantheon did it, Leon Strauss, led the efforts there. Other people, of course, participated, but at that time, there was no such thing as a special business district or a SID or a neighborhood improvement district or any of those tools that we have now. And so at that time, Debaliviere Place put in place sort of a homeowners association where every apartment paid $57 a year, every condo, I think these rates have changed a little over time, but currently this is what they pay. Every apartment pays $57, every condo pays $115 a year, and then the commercial space pays 12 cents a square foot. So they do have a homeowners association called the DPA, Debaliviere Place Association, and the DPA has agreed that if the SBD is put in place, those apartment and condo owners would no longer pay into the DPA except at a very low rate. Apartments would be $5, condos would be $10 a year. So this tax would replace that mechanism. On the 18th of December, I'm looking for the DPA is going to pass a resolution that says this. I hope that this bill can come out of committee today, and then if for some reason the DPA doesn't do that, I won't pass this. Frank and I won't pass this at the full board in January. What else? I guess sort of on a big picture, and I'll try not to bore you with this too much, but I have some concern about Debaliviere Place and their ability to get better and to remain competitive. And my concern stems from several things. One, Debaliviere Place, many of the units have not had much capital investment in the last 25 or 30 years. There is currently, as you all know, hundreds, 500 to 700 by my count, of new apartment product coming online in the central corridor. Some of it's under construction, a lot of it's under construction. So, I mean, just recently 82 new units opened at a building on Union. The Whole Foods project, we call it, that's under construction at Euclid and West Pine. The Opus project will be at Lindell and Euclid here shortly. They should be breaking ground. And if you just sort of drive east on Lindell, Forest Park Parkway, you see all these new apartment buildings going up. So that's all great, and we see a lot of those here, but that has the potential to place a lot of stress on a neighborhood like Debaliviere Place, which may not have had the capital reinvestment that it needs to have to remain competitive. So the guy who's renting, gal, is renting in Debaliviere Place now, who's got a raise or new job and maybe have a few extra dollars in their pocket, might just say, let's go get the shiny new apartment, And so if that happens, and I expect that it will to some extent, I think Debaliviere Place has to maintain its competitiveness, or that landlord is going to be very stressed. It's about 2/3 apartments and 1/3 condos. And even a lot of the condos are rented. 900 different owners in Debaliviere Place, which is a lot of owners. So those folks are going to be more stressed because they're not going to, they're going to have more vacancy. And so I see this SBD as a tool for them to really sort of improve the look and the entrances to their neighborhoods. It should provide some beautification and trash pickup and cleanup and that sort of thing, but in addition to provide some additional security, which is a problem in all neighborhoods, but particularly here because of the very dense nature of it, because of the older product, because of the Debaliviere Metrolink station, and some other things that are going on there. So that's maybe more than you wanted to know. So as a result of that, a number of property owners have petitioned to establish this SBD. And we have had one neighborhood-wide meeting before today. We had it a week ago Monday, to invite everyone to come talk about this so that they didn't have to come here. 9 o'clock on a Tuesday morning isn't the handiest time for a lot of people. We mailed out these cards, mailed 1,550 cards, because we mailed one card to every property owner. That was 884, something like that. And then mailed a card to 675 frequent voters who were not owners, so they were apartment dwellers, but they vote, so that everybody would have the opportunity to come and visit about this. We did the meeting in the neighborhood, Frank and I, and had about 70 people, I would say, show up, something like that. And then, of course, the state law requires us to mail to all of the property owners and all of the business owners the notice of this meeting, which we, of course, also did that. So I hope everyone's gotten at least the message. We've gotten some returns, but I think we've made a really big effort in order to inform people about this. Timing is important on this because to get it on the April 7th ballot, it's got to be at the election board by January 26th or 7th, something like that. And we only got a few meetings between now and then, so that's why we're before you today. So that's all.
Okay. Did you have any speakers that you wanted to?
I don't. There are a few people who have signed up to speak pro and con, but I don't have any folks lined up to do that.
Were there any questions for the sponsor? If not, we can go to the list of individuals. Board Bill 201 first. Speaking in favor, we have, I believe it's Lee or Joe? Joe Frank?
My name's Joe Frank. I'm a resident of the Debaliviere Place neighborhood, live on Waterman. Also was president of the Debaliviere Place Association for a decade, at which time we never really struggled with collecting fees, but there was a lot of concern as the tax abatement disappeared after 25 years that Leanne put in there. Some condo owners, property owners decided that they no longer had to pay DPA fees, and there were some lawsuits and the like, and the most probably they're still unresolved with one owner. But we did succeed in providing some nominal security, which at the time was high tech, and I know it's changed to somebody else now. And we did spend about $50,000 a year for landscaping. I don't have a problem with the business district. My biggest concern was it kind of snuck in to the residents in a one-day meeting. I like a little bit more notice, and I kind of like to discuss it a little longer at length. The only concern I have, which I think it's a good idea, what Alderman Krewson said is true. The product is older. I know I redid my condo and started that. I'll always remember the rehab process because it started on 9/11, so I had all the contractors in my bedroom watching TV at the time. But a lot of the condos that are in, and as a matter of fact, I was also president of the Waterman Condo Association for 10 years, so I must be a masochist in some reason to do that kind of stuff on a volunteer basis. But the properties have, in that 10-year period, have lost value. As an example of mine, which kind of blew me away, the condition it was, which was 1970s, when I married my wife, was still 70s style. It appraised a little over $200,000. Today, those same properties fall in, as an example, My unit most probably fall in the mid-160s. So some people have lost value in their property. Some people have also lost their properties due to foreclosure. They were underwater. This has continued to be a problem over there. It's also an example of, Alderman Krewson mentioned rentals. Some of the condos in the building immediately west of me, 50% of that building is rental, because the tenants, or matter of fact, sorry, the owners just couldn't sell them for what they had originally in them until they subsequently have rented those. And the association is trying to put a cap on ownership of no more than 20%, because I think eventually that becomes a negative impact. My only biggest concern is the future of where the money will be spent. I don't have a problem with security. We do have a problem, and Alderman Krewson mentioned it with the bi-state location. And when I was president of DPA, bi-state always kind of had an excuse that they were only responsible for the platform, and anything at street level was not their problem. I don't like that answer. I think that's kind of just bailing on the problem, but it's been a continual problem along with the strip commercial, and the drug dealers kind of run back and forth. Matter of fact, the gentleman, Tony, that owned the kitchen sink, always commented how fast that when he got to work at 7, the drug dealers were on the street at 6. But anyhow, I do support the idea. The only concern I have that in the future that the money continue to stay for security. I know they mentioned beautification. I just do not want to see this tax eventually be used either, and most probably will, to maintain the green park, what is that, the trailways that eventually there, and eventually the trolley for operations. I do not, at least as long as I live, I want to see the money used for the support of the operation. Otherwise, overall, I'm 100% behind this. I think it's a good thing, and I ditto with what Alderman Krewson said with regards to some of her concerns. The Debaliviere place is kind of a little island oasis in between Skinker, Debaliviere, and the West End, both of which have been active with future development. Our areas can kind of sit there, and unfortunately, I think some of the people that are in the area, I came out of the 8th Ward where a lot of things were active. In here, I come to meetings, DPA maybe have 30, 40 people at an annual meeting, and there's at least I feel, and I can be corrected, that there's a certain amount of what I feel apathy, or they just, I don't say they don't care, they just don't have time for it. But otherwise, I'm in favor of it, so got my vote. Thank you.
Hold for just a moment in case. Are there any questions from members of the committee? If not, thank you. Speaking against the bill is Kirk Palmer.
Good morning. My name is Kirk Palmer, and my partner and I own a building 5355 Pershing Avenue. It's a 12-unit building that we rent, although it is set up as condos, but we have the whole building. I'm opposed to we as partners are opposed to this bill. First of all, it may be a good idea, but it seems like a lot of money for a good idea and a perception. And I don't know, it bothers me to collect $300,000 a year on a perception and an idea. What's it going to be for? Nothing's been presented as a specific plan. When you're using large amounts of money like this, there needs to be a plan. There's nothing that says, is there a study? Is there any evidence that these other business districts, what impact have they had? What positive things have they done? What have they pulled together for the residents and for that area? And it just seems to me that, again, going back to the idea of a perception, sure, it sounds like a great plan, a great idea, but there is no plan. It's an idea. I'm not quite sure. I've had a little discussion about how much we would have to pay, and of course that's what I'm most interested in, is how much we would have to pay for each of our condoed units. Whatever that might be, it's still going to be a large sum of money because there are 12 of them, and it's going to add on to our annual taxes. We operate on a very, very slim profit margin. We aren't most of the time making a profit, and I just feel that by adding this extra cost, it's going to add a burden to what we already are doing. And where they were talking about capital investment, we have been working very hard to improve our building, improve our units. And anybody who knows anything who is a landlord and shows property and does that knows that everybody now is a big HGTV watcher. And when they walk into something, they want to see stainless steel appliances, hardwood floors, they want to see all this kind of stuff. And yes, a lot of very old buildings don't have that stuff. But we're working to improve our building. And if anyone were to come in, we can show you how much we've spent, we can show you the changes we've made and improved our building. But this extra expense that we would have to pay every year, this stops us from putting in stainless steel appliances. It stops us from repairing and upgrading our roof, which, like a lot of things that were built 100 years ago, one part of it is a flat roof, and if you've ever dealt with a flat roof, you know it's a royal pain in the butt. We have a deck in the back. We need to repair it. We need to do, and these are all visible. We want to install a security fence. We have a parking lot, but it's an open lot, and we want to install. One of the first things people ask us, "Oh, great, you've got a parking space, for our unit. Is it secure? Does it lock?" Well, no, because actually right now we can't afford to put in a fence and put the electric gate on and all that. We would like to put in hardwood flooring in the units. We would like to upgrade our heating units, which were put in several years ago and aren't the most environmentally and economically friendly setup. We have done 12 new air conditioners. They're fantastic. We want to do the heating units as well. We also would like to upgrade our internal security system, which was put in, I think, in 1982. And you can imagine 1982 wiring and cabling and all that kind of stuff, but we can't. Like I said, we operate on a very slim profit margin. We're full, and we have been full. We have maxed out our rents for the neighborhood. We've checked the comps. We've done everything that we can do to increase our rents and profitability, but we're still pushing it. This would be a burden. This extra tax assessment would be a burden, and it would cost us a great deal of extra money that honestly we don't have. Our request to you is to ideally just let this go until we can get some more information. Otherwise, table it for a year. Let's get a report and let's find out what advantages there are to doing this, and then look at it again. Thank you.
Are there any questions from members of the committee? If not, thank you. Also speaking in opposition to the bill is, I believe it's Michael Klein.
Good morning. My name is Mike Klintz. I'm a resident. The invitation said I could bring evidence, so I have some evidence. You can see what a wonderful neighborhood it is because of Kirk. It was a wonderful presentation he gave. That's the kind of neighbor I like to have. So, this is from the Department of the President, Board of Public Service, and I'll submit it after I just read this. It's from William Madden, the Secretary. I think Richard T. Bradley is still the President, I'm not sure. However, after researching the matter, indications are that a certificate of completion was never issued for the Pershing Redevelopment Corporation. Here, thank you. And the reason I bring that up is because this is a 353. I believe kudos, I offered the chairman kudos to his father. I just read on his plaque that a gentleman, man of his word. And he was on the Urban Development Committee, and I thank him for creating that neighborhood. That was a blighted neighborhood, as Lyda talked about. The development area. Now, 353, I'm not an attorney, but 353 is blighted area, developer, development plan, development area, tax relief, and eminent domain. Using your map, I submitted ordinance. This is from Ordinance 57-217. It's cited in the declaration. And this is the agreement that perhaps I believe your father probably voted for it in 1976. And I like to, and as you can see, it mirrors the, except for the commercial areas, it mirrors the SBD. There was, Mr. Frank did talk about some legal matters. I believe right now the Debaliviere Place is associated as a defendant or a plaintiff in at least 7 court cases here in the city. So there's litigation going on. What will those judges decide in those 6 cases? I don't know. Would whatever those judges decide have any effect on any agreement that the Debaliviere Place Association can make with Lyda? Lyda said that, and I've spoken to her on this on several occasions, she says, well, she's going to withdraw if the resolution doesn't pass with the DPA. All right. The DPA has a lot of civic-minded people on it, but it's been ill-served by its attorneys. Further evidence, I'd like to submit this. This is the former Debaliviere Place Association was incorporated in 1977 as a neighborhood association. This is from Supreme Court, Missouri Supreme Court. They kind of won that case as a neighborhood association. This is from the St. Louis Daily Record in 2010. The title says, Condo Association lacks authority to collect fees. They lost at this level as a condo association. They won as a neighborhood association in front of the Supreme Court, so to speak, so I submit that. Also, in his endnotes, Michael A. Wolf, judge of the Missouri Supreme Court, wrote this about the Debaliviere Place Association case. Through no fault of the circuit court judge, the facts of this case are a Gallimaufry. He later, a Gallimaufry, a word used several times a generation ago in the courts of appeals to signify a hodgepodge, a jumble, or confused medley. The facts of the case are a confused medley. And that's what the DPA is, a confused medley. I'd like to submit that. So far the DPA has been described in one suit, neighborhood association. Now then it's described as a condominium association. If you think it's a mix-up in the headline, I'll submit this from one of their attorneys in 2000. This firm represents Rodemark Crystal in its administration of the Debaliviere Place Condominium Association. So here they're saying they're a condominium association, they're a neighborhood association, and you heard Lyda say that they're a homeowners association. Who are they? I'd like to submit that. Sir, I'd like to submit it as evidence. I got the first, my apologies. I'm trying to keep your paper load down to a minimum, really. I got a copy of the Declaration of Covenants and Restrictions for Debaliviere Place. They fought hard to get this declaration. They fought hard for it. I mean, they had to go to the Supreme Court and attorney fees. In fact, at the meeting, they say they spent 30% 30% of their budget is for overhead, administration and legal fees, 30% of their budget. Anyway, here it says they're a planned community, and this is really what they are, I think, but only a judge can really decide. Planned community. So she says this resolution is going to be important, and I presented evidence here that she's either dealing with a neighborhood association, a condominium association, or a, I can't keep them all straight, or a planned community, I forget my fourth one, senior moment. And I can only speak, I can speak only in my own case. They filed the lien in October, sued me in November, and dismissed in December. I don't know if I'm not going to say it, but here it is if you want. They filed in October, sued me in November, dismissed in December. What's going on? Gallima-free, a medley of confusion. All right. This is my last submission. I have copies for, might be.
We're still waiting for a quorum, so we want to come over so we can vote.
All right, I don't care.
I apologize.
But that's, no, thank you for giving me this time, but I've been dealing with the ZBA for 18 years. These I do have multiple copies, and I appreciate your patience. Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't know how many members there were going to be. But I agree with everything Lyda says, and I agree with my new neighbor Kirk, and I welcome him to the neighborhood, the kind of landlords I like to have in the neighborhood. They live there. This is my last submission. Again, thanks for your patience. This has to do with Ordinance 57-217, and you might say June 22nd, 1976. You might say, well, wait, this is old news. No, I just presented evidence to tell you that the certificate of completion has never been signed. Hasn't been signed. Have I requested it? Yes, sir, I have. Many times. Written letter. Not possible. It's not possible. Right now it's being reviewed by the Circuit Attorney for the last 2 years. It's been under review in the Circuit Attorney's Office. Michael Galvin, I believe, is headed that review. 2 years. I asked him if he urged that in the status. He didn't reply to me. So the development area is still going. Still going. What's that mean? Gallima-free, a medley of confusion. I chose selective text from 57-217 because it's not online. I could only get it from the library, and who's going to go down to the library and get a printed copy? You know, everybody wants to have it online. So this ordinance is cited in their declaration, and to me it's still binding unless a judge says otherwise. A judge is going to have to be involved in this. Well, there's 6 judges already involved. Anyway, I'm taking up too much time. The first paragraph just describes the area of this ordinance, and as you can see, it's what I showed you. It's the business district. Section 3, very important. That's what gave the Pershing Redevelopment Corporation eminent domain. What's the status of the eminent domain today? I don't know. Do I live in a neighborhood that's eminent domain? I don't know. I'll use Michael Wolf's word again. Gallima-free, a medley of confusion. In a room dedicated to somebody who is a man of his word and a gentleman. Gosh, I long for those times. F might be of particular interest to you as alderman. The city will, at its cost, you're supposed to take care of all the sidewalk insulation and repairs, contrary to your sidewalk 50/50 program, not in this development area. Oh, would a judge have to weigh in on that? Well, you betcha. Yeah, a judge would have to decide on that. Will a judge decide on it? I don't know. There's 6 cases going on. Who knows? But this agreement will remain in force and effect so long as the developer, successors, this is section 21, and at the termination of such a relief, this agreement shall terminate and become null and void, provided that the project has herein been described has been completed and so certified by the President of the Board of Public Service. We're one signature away. I've asked for years for this. I know why, because you're under a time constraint. I've asked for years. Years I've been trying to get this. Not possible. Would that end it? No, sir. It would be the beginning of the end, but I have no idea what the DPA is going to decide on that. Maybe they're going to say, oh, this doesn't affect this. This is at the city development area. All right. I'm not being a naysayer. Gosh, you guys are very patient. There are advantages of the SPD over the DPA. The Sunshine Law. I haven't received budgets from these people in 2 or 3 years. So under this SPD, I presume under the Sunshine Law, I get information. So I'm all for that. Public open meetings. I don't know when they're meeting. She said they're meeting January 18th. I don't know anything about that. They say I'm a member. I haven't been notified. Includes all lot owners. That was kind of the trouble with this. Not all lot owners are included. In fact, if it goes through, I think could be more than 500 units added. Oh, all owners pay the same rate, 11%. I got that from Alderman Krewson. Under the old DPA, apartment building managers, they only paid half. You pay by zoning. Well, that was a benefit to an apartment owner. Legal and management fees reduced from 30% to 1%. So in a way, I'm a big supporter of the SPD, but not now. My recommendation is that the committee table this ordinance until all parties are freed of the agreement ordinance. And my note, I should put that at the bottom. If the development area goes away, the DPA could still exist, still maintain their duties in the other development areas and the annexations that they made in perdition neighborhoods. So they could still go on and do what good they want to do, but I just want to see an end for my development area, and I can't seem to get it. My thing would be if the Alderman Board in the 70s created this thing, perhaps the Alderman Board now can correct it. And that's what I asked you to do, just kind of correct it. Get rid of the development area. Thank you.
Thank you. Are any questions from members of the committee? If not, thank you.
Thank you for your patience, Chairman.
We also have, I believe it's Corey Block.
Thought I was signing wanted to notify you guys I oppose it, but apparently I'm speaking. Apartment owner on Delmar. My issue is kind of with the organization of this entire thing. First of all, I haven't heard how this is going to affect apartment owners. We've heard 11% for condo owners. I have no idea what my association dues are going to go down for Debaliviere Place. This goes through. The second is the organization, like I said on the map. This includes 3 buildings on Delmar. When the Debaliviere Place Association goes from Debaliviere to Union, same issue I take with the Debaliviere Place Association currently, I don't see any of the benefit. I think it's a good idea, in theory, inside the neighborhood itself, where we can have a flow of traffic, the beautification everyone can enjoy, the trash pickup they can enjoy. Delmar, we have 3 buildings on the south side of Delmar, not on the north side, and everyone else. So how is my building going to benefit from the beautification? From the security, I'm going to have high tech like I did before. check my front door 3 times a week. I mean, come on. If we're going to do this, let's do it right. I'm all for it. If it's done right, if it's including everybody, and if we have specifics. I was first notified about this about a month ago, 2 months ago. My thoughts on it, my family has a rather large building, so I guess I wanted to know my thoughts and opinions on it. At that time, they couldn't give me specifics on what the money's going to go for, like who's going to benefit and how, so I feel like we should table this as well and get more specifics and do this right if it's going to get done.
Okay. Thank you. Are there any questions from members of the committee? If not, thank you. Finally, we have... Thank you. You saw me struggling up here, didn't you?
I know. Good morning.
Good morning.
And I also didn't know that I was going to have to speak either. My name is Sharon Beatty. My parents own 5301 Pershing, which is 5311 Pershing, and it includes the whole corner of the northeast corner of Union and Pershing. My dad bought that corner in 35 years ago. He's developed it. Currently, my dad is sick. My sister and I took over for my dad a couple years ago when we realized that he was sick. He's developed the corner to the best of his abilities. The current state of the corner now is that it does need development and improvements. My sister and I have worked very hard to develop the second floor of the office building. We have a great tenant in there now. We put over $250,000 into that floor to make sure that my dad's legacy lives on. My dad had great respect for the neighborhood, and he loves that corner. My opposal to this plan is that a hardship. We have put a lot of money into the corner. We are looking at getting a loan to upwards of $600,000. We're working with a bank in Arnold to put more money into the corner. Our abatement was over this year, which took our taxes up 6-fold of what they were the prior year. We worked with the city. At first it was 10-fold. We worked with the city to get that reduced because if we put money into the corner and we have additional improvements to make, we can't afford that. So that was reduced. So, and I apologize for being emotional because I see it as my dad's legacy. And I see it as a hardship because if we are hard-pressed to be able to afford the taxes currently, and I understand that the city gave my dad an abatement, and I understand that that abatement is over. I get that. But what I also see is the current state of my building, of our corner. I also see that, you know, in talking with the city and with the assessor's office, you know, you're between a rock and a hard place because they see that we need improvements. They see that additional work needs to be done. But then on the other side, well, a block east, you got the Central West End, and that's a higher rent, and there's a higher level that those properties are worth. So you're between a rock and a hard place. So we get an assessment of $750,000 for our corner that needs a lot of work and a repair. So I oppose this amendment, this plan, and I agree with the others that it sounds good in theory. I agree that we want the public to be safe if that's really what it's going to be. Is it going to be that our part of this area is going to be safer? Is it going to be that we're going to have this security that the plan is saying that we're going to have? And is it a plan? Is it specific enough that we could see on paper where our money is going to be spent? If you're saying that 11% of our taxes on a dollar amount that we already are having a hard time paying, that's a large amount to us when that we are bare bones. My dad's dry cleaners. My sister and I own a business. We own a home care company. I spend limited time growing that business because I'm trying to grow my dad's business still. I want my dad's business to survive. I want my dad's business to turn around, so I put that time and energy into turning around his business because this is his legacy. I want it to live. So, we're bare bones. Operationally, we're bare bones, and to add additional money for something that we don't specifically know where the money is going to be spent, I just disagree with. I disagree. And so I'm asking you all to not agree with this, to table it, and to allow them to have something specific in place that they can, we can see and be specific as to how it's going to reach everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Are any questions from members of the committee? If not, thank you. We'd like to thank all, that completes the listing of the people who signed up. We'd like to thank you all for taking your time coming out this morning and testifying before the committee. We bring back up the sponsor once again.
Let me get my notes. Thank you very much. I appreciate all the comments from the folks who came and spoke today, and I understand that, it is, nobody wants to pay more taxes. I mean, there's not anybody here who would like to pay more taxes. I do have, and I think I've talked to each of these, almost all these people individually in the past, but I'm happy to talk with them more about this. We do know how much everybody's tax will be increased. The 11%, the rate is 85 cents per $100 of assessed valuation, so the 11% is just really the conversion of that to about the amount that it would be. With regard, Sharon, I know Sharon and her sister Sharon and her dad Leon, and they are in a particularly tough situation because they've had 25 years of tax abatement, and I don't think they didn't expect their taxes to go up so much when the abatement went off, is really, I think, what it comes down to. And so I understand that difficulty. With regard to the comments on the DPA, this isn't a Debaliviere Place Association. This hearing today really isn't about the DPA, except to the extent that the DPA is going to no longer continue to collect the $57 per apartment and $115 per condo unit. I think the advantages to the SBD over the DPA is that the city will collect the SBD tax. The DPA has to mail bills, they have to collect bills. A lot of their funds have been spent just trying to collect from various people. That won't be the case when the city's putting it on the tax bill. An SBD tax would also, if you itemize deductions, would be deductible, whereas DPA fees are not, and so that makes the effective rate for a lot of folks less. The other advantage, there are several, but another one is that everybody, all the property owners within the area will be paying into the SBD if it passes in April. Whereas now, some buildings pay, some buildings don't pay. The security and the beautification and maintenance that the DPA does do now, it benefits all the property owners, but not all the property owners are paying. So, I think those are about all the points I wanted to make in response. I would appreciate your consideration and happy to take any questions.
Alderman Williamson, you had.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, I'm going to call it.
This SPD that Lyda has worked so hard on, and Lyda has worked so hard on, and I've worked with her in conjunction with it. I think it's very important that we give the opportunity to the residents in the Debaliviere Place community to vote it up or vote it down. And as an alderman and as an alderwoman, we get quite a few complaints with some of the residents. The crime that's taking place over there, especially when it comes to the Metrolink station, it's been pretty horrendous lately. We get a lot of transit people to come through there, catching the train, and a lot of them come to, really exercise their crime or sell the drugs or what have you. And the Winter Garden Apartments that is located right there on the Debaliviere in Kingsbury, where you have people that live there. I've known for a fact several people that get their checks, especially during the first of the month, have been robbed, at gunpoint. The Kingsbury apartment, the same thing. So we're getting a lot of, armed robbery, strong robbery in that area. The bank has been robbed a couple of times, which is Pulaski Bank, which, really they have to secure that themselves. And in passing this tax, if they decide to pass it, I think it would really help the Debaliviere Place Association in neighborhood when it comes to security. And basically what's happening in the Central West End, I think your security in that neighborhood is beefed up very, very well. And so what the bad guys do, they come down and go west of Union to take advantage of car break-ins and robberies. And we don't want that to happen. And it puts us in a, peculiar position. So this is a tool to give the opportunity for the people that live in that community to really kind of help beef up security. And, beautification too, that's always important. But more importantly, it has been quite a bit of crime in that area, and that's something that I get a lot of complaints about, and I'm sure Lyda does too. So this is just an opportunity. Hey, April 7th, you can either vote it up or vote it down. And that's what we're trying to do, to give the people in that community, the opportunity to upgrade their security. Nobody wants to raise your taxes. I'm not an advocate of raising taxes either. I understand that, and I know that hurts everybody's pocket. But at the same time, we're kind of, caught in a tough place here, so we have to do something. So this is an idea to help out the people with security, and that's it. Thank you.
We've recognized the sponsor to close. Were there any questions of the sponsor? If not, we can entertain a motion on Board Bill 201.
I'll make a motion that we pass it.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we pass Board Bill 201 out with a due pass recommendation. Any discussion on the motion? Not, Mr. Clerk, would you call the roll?
Alderman Krewson.
Aye.
Alderman Behringer, Vice Chairman Williamson. Alderman Moore.
Pass.
Alderman French.
Pass.
Alderman Vaccaro.
Aye.
Alderman Carter. Aye. Alderwoman Green.
Aye.
Chairman Kennedy.
Aye.
Alderman Moore.
Present.
Alderman French.
Aye.
7 aye votes, 1 present vote. Board Bill 201 comes out with a due pass recommendation.
Okay. We'll now take up Board Bill 202, Alderwoman Krewson. This is the companion bill that places it on the ballot, correct?
Yes,
This is
it
the
is.
ballot language.
Yes, I almost forgot about that. Thank you.
Okay.
Board Bill 202 officially places the issue on the April 7th ballot.
So this just puts it before the voters in the Debaliviere Place, and the
Yes.
final decision then, of course, is from this election.
Absolutely.
Okay, then. Any questions of the sponsor? If not, we can entertain a motion.
Previous row.
Been moved seconded that we pass our Board 202 with a due pass recommendation. There's been a request for previous roll. Any opposition to previous roll? Seeing none by your vote, we've passed our Board Bill 202.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. I saw. I just realized it. We were going to take up, what was that? Board Bill 203, but the sponsor just walked out to another meeting. So we will pick up on Board Bill 215. We have representation from the Comptroller's Office. Ivy Pinkston. Okay.
Thank you.
Go right ahead.
Thank you, Alderman Kennedy. I have with me an attorney who's on both of these refunding transactions, Mr. Charles Salisbury. Okay, if there are any specific questions. You have in front of you a handout. We'll start with Board Bill 215, Forest Park Leasehold Revenue Refunding Bonds. And we'll just go through this and if there are any questions. Due to the very low interest rates in the marketplace, we have an opportunity to refund this existing series of bonds and try to capture these savings in the next 2 months or so while rates are low. Generally, they stay low through February. We hope anyhow, okay? So if you want to flip to page 3, just a brief overview. The issuer is Municipal Finance Corporation, which has most of our debt outside of the enterprise debt of the city, and if we have a GO debt. Okay, so we're going to issue the Series 2015 bonds, not to exceed amount $11 million, and the proceeds, the use of the proceeds to refund all or portion of the outstanding bonds and provide for a debt service reserve fund if necessary, and or credit enhancement. Usually credit enhancement doesn't work anymore. Bond insurers, they're not really very effective. And pay the cost of issuing the Series 2015 bonds. Security, as are all the leasehold revenue bonds issued by the corporation, annual appropriated rental and additional rental payments from the city to the corporation pursuant to the lease of Forest Park to the city. So everything that we, issue bonds for through the corporation, you have to pledge the asset. All right, so that's the actual lease. Term of bonds, we're not extending the maturity, so no later than February 15th, 2022, that's the current amortization schedule. Negotiated sale. The lead underwriter on this is U.S. Bank Corp. Plan of finance, page 4. Again, we're refunding the Series 2004 bonds, and the Series 2004 bonds advance refunded the Series 1997 bonds, which funded certain capital improvements to Forest Park. I think you all know that was the first set of bonds that we did for Forest Park. The corporation will issue the bonds to refund them, as I've said before. They're tax exempt, municipal interest rates at or about the current levels, and there will be present value savings and, most importantly, a reduction of the city's lease payment obligations. They'll be issued on a senior lien basis to the outstanding Forest Park taxable subordinate 2013 bonds. That's the Forest Park Forever bonds, which Charles was a part of that as well. And this will be a limited obligation to the corporation. Again, proceeds payable out of the proceeds of the actual bonds and the rents. And the payment of rents and additional rentals will be made from funds annually appropriated, as are all our Municipal Finance Corporation debt is, through the Forest Park subaccount and the Major Parks account of the Capital Improvement Sales Tax Trust Fund, which is funded by the 1/2 cent improvement sales tax. That's my phone, excuse me. All right, and so the next page 5, we're showing you the debt service savings. You see the savings add up to about $700,000, average about $89,000 a year. Net PV savings, though, 8.3%. Our threshold level's 3%, so the market's good. We can capture it. And then the plan of finance, just showing you sources of funds equal use of funds. The last page is a projected calendar. So basically, we're here today, second read Friday, January 9th, hopefully, perfection and passage, Chairman Kennedy, with your support, and then price the bonds and close them February 19th. Again, trying to capture the interest rates. Are there any questions?
Any questions from members of the committee on Board Bill 215?
I'll move to the next one, sir.
No, we should finish up on this.
Oh,
one.
okay.
We can, there's no other questions. We can entertain a motion for Board Bill. Been moved. Do we have a second? Second. Been moved and seconded to pass our Board Bill 215 with a due pass recommendation. There's been a request for previous rule. Yes. Is there any opposition to the request for previous rule? If not, by your vote, we've passed our Board Bill 215 with a due pass recommendation. So now we'll go to Board Bill 216.
Thank you, sir. A very similar situation, except this is the Kiel site transaction, refunding lease certificates of participation. So we are planning on, the amount is $5.5 million, exactly the same structure. There's no 1/2 cent sales tax pledge to this, though. That's the difference. This is completely general fund of the city. And, the annually appropriated rental payments, term of bonds, not extending it, July 1st, 2021. Lead underwriter on this is Loop Capital Markets, minority firm. We will refund the Series 2008. Let's see. Series 2008 refunded LCRA bonds that were issued in 1997. And so there were 2 Series A and B. Corporation will issue the 2015 obligations to refund all or portion of the 2008 obligations. And assuming tax exempt, low interest muni rates, we expect present value savings. Pretty much everything the same. Rentals, the payment of rentals and additional rentals with respect to these obligations will be made from funds annually appropriated from the city's general fund. As I said, no dedicated tax to this. On page 5, again, you see the savings. Overall, $876,000. Average annual, about $125,000. Shorter term here. Net PV savings, almost 7%, 6.98%. Again, threshold savings level is always 3%. Sources and uses of fund on page 6. And our proposed financing schedule. This one will follow the Forest Park. So we hope to, again, with your support, Alderman Kennedy, perfect and final pass on January 9th and price the bonds late February and close in mid-March. Again, hoping the market is still there.
Okay.
All right.
Any questions on Board Bill 216? If not, we can entertain a motion.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we pass Board Bill 216 out with a due pass recommendation. There's been a request for previous roll. Any opposition to previous roll? Seeing none by your vote, we've passed out Board Bill 216 with a due pass recommendation. Thank you.
And Alderman Kennedy, we thank you for your support of several financings that are going on right now.
We're waiting on Alderman Carter. He has Board Bill 203, and that'll be the last one. He had to go over to the Transportation Committee meeting.
Alderman Kennedy, I have another little side of business related to our QECB bonds.
Okay.
Do you remember we were saying we're going to put together the program? And there were a couple people on your committee who had kind of indicated they'd like to be a part of that. And so I wanted to get from you, because we're ready to, maybe start having some conference calls. I know Alderwoman Behringer was interested, and did you have anyone else? I think we're going to have a 7-member.
Okay. I'll
If you could
call
let
it
me
and
know
you
who else would be
Okay.
interested.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to stop stuff with the mirror.
We're ready for 203.
Yeah. You know what? We actually could have just had Leonard come up and
Okay. We'll now take up Board Bill 203.
Thank you,
Alderman
members of the committee. Sorry I was late. I was over in another committee. I'm going to be really quick. So what this is an ordinance recommended by the Parking Commission of the City of St. Louis to authorize the treasurer, basically as supervisor of the parking meter division, to issue these parking revenue bonds, and the principal amount not to exceed is $6.750,000. I think that they're going to do a ton of upgrades to the parking meter system and a few other things. So I'm going to have Leonard come up and present the rest.
Did you happen to see Alderman French going out the door when you?
I seen him running out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just ask. We can go ahead and take it.
Okay.
I don't have much to add outside of what Alderman Carter said. Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee, for hearing us. As he said, Board Bill 203 is a bond bill, and just like my colleagues from the Comptroller's office, we are trying to hone in on those good rates that are going right now toward the end of the year, going into the first quarter. This particular board bill would allow us to issue a bond. It's a supplemental bond to a master indenture that was issued in 2006 for the purchase of our parking meter technology. As you know, we just ended a 6-month pilot. We did award a contract to Xerox, who will be doing meter maintenance and collection for us, as well as citation management. This particular bill would allow us to actually purchase our parking meters. We're looking to upgrade that technology with parking meters that accept credit cards, debit cards, a combination of mobile payments, coins, and cash as well. And that's what this particular board bill does. In a nutshell, I'm coming asking for authorization to write a PO.
Okay. Are there any questions from members of the committee on Board Bill 203? If not, we could entertain a motion.
Move to pass out Board Bill 203.
It's been moved and seconded that we pass out Board Bill 203 with a due pass recommendation. There's been a request for previous roll. Is there any opposition to previous roll? Seeing none, by your vote, then we have passed Board Bill 203 with a due pass recommendation.
Thank you.
Thank you. And that completes our agenda for today. Thank you. Our meeting's adjourned.